This is the YUKA 2000 Robot Lawn Mower. It looks pretty sleek. The design catches your eye first. It's got a modern, robotic look with a nice white finish, some rugged black wheels, and a solid build that doesn't feel flimsy at all. You can definitely tell this thing isn't just for show. It's made to work. When I first took it out of the box, I was honestly a little intimidated. I'm not super tech-savvy, so I had a ton of questions about whether a robotic mower would be overkill for a regular yard like mine. Also, I wasn't sure if the setup would require a bunch of complicated wiring or digging around. But what really surprised me is that you don't need to mess with perimeter wires. The YUKA 2000 uses something they call AI Vision and RTK, which in simple terms means it's got built-in cameras and high-accuracy GPS to learn the shape of your lawn. All you do is walk it around the edges using the app, and it remembers everything. For someone like me who gets overwhelmed by technology, this was a welcome relief. In my opinion, one of the biggest key features is just how automated everything is. You literally walk the YUKA around your yard once to show it where your boundaries are, and after that, it's off on its own. Thanks to its 3D camera system, it can detect obstacles like my mailbox, tree roots, dog toys, or random rocks. It even does this neat little maneuver of backing up and trying again if it bumps into anything, so it never just sits there stuck. On rainy days, I noticed it can still work fine. It's waterproof, and there's even a tiny windshield wiper for the front camera, which kind of cracks me up but works surprisingly well. Another thing I've really enjoyed is the dual cutting discs underneath. Basically, there are 5 super sharp blades on each side, so the mower creates a neat, even cut every time it goes through. There are 8 height adjustments, meaning you can keep your grass short or let it grow a little longer if you want. Adjusting the height is easy through the app, just a quick tap and it's done. That app, by the way, is pretty straightforward and doesn't take more than a couple minutes to get used to. From my experience, the mowing quality is very impressive. My yard has a lot of crabgrass on one side and Bermuda on the other, so it's not exactly a perfect lawn. But after the first pass, I could immediately see a difference. The grass looked more even and healthier. I also noticed it cuts close to the edges, so I don't have to come back out with the weed trimmer as often. I like that it works quietly too. I've let this thing run in the evening while I'm inside, and unless you're standing right next to it, you wouldn't even know it's there. Let me explain something that I found really cool. The YUKA 2000 can actually do more than just mow. If you get the optional sweeper kit, it can collect grass clippings and even pick up leaves or small twigs as it moves. When fall hits, my yard usually turns into a leaf magnet, and cleaning it up gets old fast. Having a mowing robot that can also sweep up the lawn, not just during mowing, but also after a storm or when there's extra debris, is a huge plus. The collected debris gets dumped at specific spots that you set up in the app, and you can have up to 100 designated emptying spots if you want. This really felt like the all-in-one solution I've always wanted for my lawn. If you have different sections or zones in your yard, the YUKA 2000 has a multi-zone feature that lets you program up to 20 areas. My backyard is separated from my front by a little walkway, but it has no problem moving from one section to another. You can set schedules for each zone, so if some parts of your yard grow faster than others, you can customize how often it gets mowed. Setting up no-go zones, areas where you don't want the mower to go, is simple, and you just do it by tapping out the boundaries in the app. Charging takes care of itself too. The mower returns to the charging station by itself when it's low on battery, and then picks up where it left off. For the size, it handles up to 0.5 acre on a single charge. And that's more than enough for a typical suburban yard. As much as I like the YUKA 2000, I have to be honest about the things that weren't perfect. For example, it's a bit heavier than I expected, so carrying it around is not the easiest if you ever need to move it or store it for the winter. The included power cord is long enough, but it did get a little tangled that first day. I also noticed that if you push it close to the max slope it can handle, especially with the sweeper add-on, you might find it getting stuck on steeper hills. My backyard isn't too hilly, but if your yard has a lot of steep slopes, you'll want to double-check the specs before buying. Speaking of app setup, I had a minor headache with getting the Wi-Fi connected for the first time. It took 3 tries before it finally linked up, which made me a little nervous about the technology part. But once it was connected, it hasn't dropped off since. The customer support is available but can be a bit slow to respond, so patience is helpful there. One word about the self-emptying feature with the sweeper kit. This is not included by default, So if you really want that hands-off experience with picking up leaves and clippings, be sure to get the sweeper attachment. I was under the impression at first it was included, but it's an add-on. If you're mainly using it to mow, though, the base unit does that beautifully. I'd recommend this for anyone who doesn't have time to mow the lawn every week or just wants more free time on the weekends. It saves time, energy, and honestly, it keeps your yard looking neat far more consistently than I ever managed before. It's perfect for busy homeowners, people who have allergies and want to minimize time outside, or anyone who just isn't a fan of yard work. In conclusion, the YUKA 2000 Robot Lawn Mower really surprised me, in a good way. It changed how I look at basic yard care, making everything easier, quieter, and less stressful. Even with the few small frustrations around initial setup and handling, I wouldn't go back to pushing a manual mower. If you've ever thought about getting into robotic mowers but felt a little nervous about all the tech stuff, I'd say the YUKA is one of the more user-friendly options out there. The lawn looks better, I spend less time sweating outside, and it even picks up the mess when I need it to. You can view detailed information about the YUKA 2000 Robot Lawn Mower in the comments section. Thank you for watching.